Today we'll use Hallelujah as an excuse to learn a few principles concerning ukulele and fingerstyle technique. There is a lot to learn, so let's get started. But before that, the PDF is available for free on the performance video in the card above or the video description. Alright, so Hallelujah starts with an open C major chord, which is the perfect chance for us to learn how to play free stroke. Free stroke refers to your right hand technique and how you pick your strings. Most people pick the ukulele with their thumb this way, anchored behind their fingers, and they would play thumb down, finger up. And what that does is it prevents your fingers from being able to move freely. Free stroke is a technique borrowed from classical guitar. Basically, you play the strings and you move in the direction of your palm as if you're touching your palm. Eventually, once you get comfortable with this direction, you stop touching your palm and that creates the free stroke. Notice how I am not picking the string out, I am playing it towards my palm. My thumb plays sideways and not downwards because I don't want it to be interfering with my hands. So the beginning, the C major chord, is an ideal place to practice that. So the intro is combined of a C major and A minor chord. This is a good chance for us to think about the actual tab. If you notice, the tab doesn't have chord symbols on top, but if you are able to look at the tab and put all the fingers that belong to a position together, in this case it is the open, open, and 3, then you'll notice that this group of fingers represent part of the C major chord. And if you know your C major chord, then you should be able to see the pattern. So now you know that you're in a C major chord. Right after that, you have the collection of 0, 0, 0, and 2, which is your A minor chord. It's very important when you look at bars that you're able to look at the collection of notes that represent that chord and figure out what that chord is from the chord patterns you already know. So let's play that verse. So what I'm doing here, because I have two melody notes on the same string, notice how in my right hand I am not repeating the finger. So I'm not going. If you do that, you will always sound choppy. It's not going to sound as smooth as. So whenever you see two notes or three notes repeating on the same string, always think that you have to alternate the right hand fingers. And the technique for that is you strum the chord with your index, and then you come up with your middle. So that. If you notice, I have the right hand fingers written on top of the melody notes. If you don't know what the melody notes are the notes with the stems pointing up. And if you notice, on top of those melody notes, I have letters from P, I, M, A. P stands for thumb, I stands for index, M stands for middle, and the A stands for ring. Notice how when I play my third frets, I always do that with my fourth finger. That's because if I use my third finger on the third fret, notice how my hand position has to twist a little bit to be able to fit my finger at the end of the fret where it sounds the best. But if I use my fourth finger, I am already there without having to stretch or twist. In other words, my fingers or my hand shape is square. I call this posture the square posture, which basically means your fingers are there in their natural position and you're able to reach all the frets without having to twist. which is why I use my fourth finger on the third frets. So back to bar 6, that's F major, then open string to make the shift to the G, fourth finger and second finger, A minor chord, F major shape. Then you're going to use your fourth finger as a pivot to shift your ring and index. And now, here's a very important tip when it comes to shifting chords. You're going to use that last 5 or D note to shift from here to your next chord. Okay? So you use that note while you play it, you're setting up the next chord. Notice what I'm doing? Climbers watching this video will know what I'm doing here, which is setting up a hold. But basically you play, and when you play the 5, you let go. It's a very important strategy or a tip for shifting difficult chords. There's often a note that you can play that allows you to set up the chord, and then you have to make the shift. So again, you play, you set up the hands, and then make the shift. Bar, fourth finger down to the 5th fret. Right, so you have to hold the 5th fret all the way to the end. And then you play pinch harmonic on the 12th fret. If you don't know what a pinch harmonic is, it's the equivalent of you playing a natural harmonic, except you are pressing it with your index, barely touching the harmonic spot, which is on top of the 12th fret. You're barely touching it, and with your thumb, you're going to play the note. If you don't want to use your thumb, you could press it with your index, again, that's barely touching it, and then you use your ring finger to play that. It's a really cool trick. Okay, so let's play the first part of the verse of the Hallelujah. And then we move on into the chorus. The chorus starts with your 4th finger on the 5th fret. And then you stretch to connect those notes as much as you can, which is part of an F major chord. This part of the song is a part that I just inserted. It doesn't actually belong to the original arrangement, but I thought it's a nice chance to add a little bit of a scale passage, right? Which is, this is a descending scale because we're going down in the pitches. If you remember the tip we talked about at the beginning of this tutorial, when you repeat notes on the same string, make sure you alternate your fingers. So this is actually a good spot to try to do that. So you start with your middle on the 2nd string, open, upper string, index, middle, index, and now you could continue to go, but I don't like to play with my nails on the 4th string because it's made out of steel, and it will create that friction sound, right? It's not nylon, so I just use my thumb, but you're welcome to try to go. In the video, in the original video that I made, I used my thumb. So, and this is also another chance to practice scales. And in the video that I made, I do a slide from the 2nd fret to the 4th fret. repeat the whole thing.